Epic battles with legendary dragons, hatching eggs with even more incredible dragons, an in-game store and exciting classes to play. It all sounds amazing when talking about Century Age of Ashes, so let's find out if it's as shiny as gold or if still room for improvements. If you watch Game of Thrones and thought to yourself, why does Khaleesi have all the fun with dragons? It's your lucky day. Century Age of Ashes lets you ride incredible dragons into legendary battles. And if you also want to have a dragon eggs and hatch them in a more badass version of Pokemon, of course you will have the opportunity to do so. Let's see this cute little one become a fierce dragon a bit later on, shall we? But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's talk a bit more about the game. Century Age of Ashes is a free-to-play multiplayer game with dragons where you can go into combat in 3 vs 3 or 6 vs 6 in 4 different game modes. At the time of this review, there are 3 classes to play, with more being planned by the developers, hence the darkened figure. The classes are the Marauder, or as I like to call him, the Jack of all trades, the Ruthless Bounty Hunter if you prefer that, the Wind Guard with skills and abilities to help out her teammates when locked into fierce battle, the Support, simply put, and the Stealthy Phantom, a Nazgul kind of looking champion that is there to simply make the lives of the other team a misery with invisibility and invincibility as skills to master. I really like the Phantom, both with its visuals and how it's presented, and that it offers some really sneaky ways to play, even if it's sometimes really hard to be sneaky on close combat skirmish maps when the whole enemy team is chasing you. No matter what champion you prefer, you still have to get through the tutorial part and all that it wants you to learn, but as with every online multiplayer game, there are only a certain amount of things a tutorial can prepare you for. Learn to fly, then get good at combat is my advice, and I know it sounds boring, but riding a dragon and making it go where you want it to go and do sharp turns without crashing into something is crucial, especially if you want to play ranked matches. Because when you meet other players and it starts to rain fireballs and fire breath, you better know how to avoid that. Otherwise, it's you dying and having to respawn a couple of seconds later and leaving your teammates in an unfair situation. I played on a controller and the controls feels responsive, and I think it's easy to miss that you have a small amount of free look and also can look backwards, which can really help out in tight situations. The maps feels well planned and there are plenty of fantastic places to squeeze through and do a sharp turnaround in situations you either need to avoid or chase someone. Century Age of Ashes serves you an orchestral score right from the start, worthy of any Dragonborn, and in free flight and in combat it never becomes too much or unbalanced. My favorite have to be the dragons roaring as you head into battle and coins falling from the sky. The graphics are stunning, and even if the game lacks more advanced graphic settings at the moment to offer players with low-end PCs a chance to enjoy a fluid experience, there seems to be a plan to release that in the future. It's hard to complain at the sight you get while riding your dragon through all the locations there are in-game. If you love games with an in-game store for cosmetics, you will not be disappointed with Century Age of Ashes, and that adds a new level of replayability since playing more matches gives more in-game coins to purchase dragons, eggs, heroes and boosters. There are also the daily challenges that the developers use to get you play all classes and perhaps challenge you more than just winning an objective. This is, at the moment, the most reported mechanic to have issues. But a big thumbs up for the developers to showcase the reports in the Discord, where you can also talk to like-minded people and learn more about the game's meta and other game mechanics. I think all who play these type of games finds a favorite in terms of game mode. Century Age of Ashes offers Carnage, your bread and butter deathmatch mode, Gates of Fire, a unique take on the capture the flag game mode where you have to get through gates with the flag while enemies hunt you. And my favorite, perhaps since I'm more of an objective-based kind of player, Spoils of War, where besides hunting golden dragons to gather coins, there are vault breakers and other power-ups, and of course high-value targets to hunt, and that at the same time deal with enemy team. And it feels stressful to be announced before the match in some player to look out for display, even with a lousy score. Luckily, we managed to come out on top. Well, almost every time. Let's not talk more about that achievement, alright? A game with around almost 5,000 concurrent players as a peak will always suffer the issues of finding a balanced matchmaking, and Century Age of Ashes is no exception. This leads to high-ranked players being paired with lower-ranked players as frustration starts to set in. But I think as the player base grows, there will be less of a hassle, and the 6-stacked teams are always hard to avoid unless the developers branch out the queuing system for solo and duo queues. The people afraid of the KDA disconnecting is nothing new in multiplayer games, and here it's more of finding a way to make it harsh enough to prevent this behavior. I had some skirmish games where I eventually was the only one left on my team for the rest of the match, but I don't blame the developers for that. People are just people and focus on themselves. The developer seems to be working hard and adding new events like a winter-themed free-for-all one, and I'm certain they are addressing all this as the player base continue to grow. Century Age of Ashes is an exciting game for people that love dragons and epic airborne battles. The in-game store offers many cosmetic updates and also new dragons you can hatch by completing missions. As long as the developers continue to offer more in-game content that is not just based upon the real money to in-game currency transaction, I think they have a bright, high-flying future. And I love the cosmetic upgrades and how you have a kind of power metal rock band music video mode where you can just stand by your dragon watching mountains. Also, the many options for titles and quotes and all the small things makes me eager to continue playing this game for a long time. The developer Playwing have announced that Century Age of Ashes are coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox SX and Xbox Series SX in 2022 and will follow on mobile platforms later in development. And look at that, my little dragon grew into a fierce, epic Sarghildian squall for my marauder. So I guess I'm a dragon dad now? Who's a cute dragon? Yes, you are. You know what? Let's not end this journey here. You have seen the game. I have a fantastic game here that I think that you should check out. I'm Danny from Indie Game Viking, and I always say stay safe and stay awesome.